All right. We are live. Now let's wait for the icon to pop up and wait for people to join.
Yeah, that gives me more time to find some more stuff.
Exactly. Okay, there's the viewer icon with a big goose egg next to it. All right, we officially have a number other than 0 in the viewer icon. So, how's it going, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And together we are the two Irish brothers coming at you live. And don't get the wrong idea, people. We did not false advertise or anything like that. BVD just got caught up, but he will be here as soon as he possibly can. Just it happens to the best of us. But no, BVD should be here within a half hour, hopefully. And if not, that's how it turns out. But anyway, let's dive right in, Ben. A lot of action in college basketball.
Yes, lots and lots of action.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Notre Dame just got the brakes beat off of them. Oh, what was that, Wednesday or Thursday? North Carolina dropped 101 points. And I don't even think Notre Dame got to 60. So that was a pretty disheartening loss. And it's just the classic Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde Notre Dame for this season. They had the potential to take teams like North Carolina down to the wire, and they just didn't. So Notre Dame's season ends quietly, and there is no chance for any appearance in the NCAA tournament for the Fighting Irish.
One thing I got to mention along with Notre Dame basketball, I don't know if I've talked about it before or if you mentioned it. This turned out to be the last season for Jack Nolan calling Notre Dame men's basketball games on the radio. And man, am I going to miss him hearing that. Got it.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a very famous I don't even know the right word, shtick for him and Notre Dame basketball and Notre Dame basketball fans. So, yeah, it'll be sad to see him go, but, on to
it's his trademark.
Yeah, his trademark, yes. So, it's definitely sad.
That's actually two announcers that decided to retire this year. Jack Nolan from Notre Dame basketball on the radio, and then I forget his name, but the football stadium announcer, the PA announcer, because he'd been doing that for like 50 some odd years or something.
Long time.
But
that's a long time.
But that's what happens as the years go along. Is people are eventually going to step down, and But anyway, hi Dwayne, hi Craig, how's it going? Craig says go Zags, and actually Ben and I were just talking about that before we went live. And then Craig also says Mike Bray looked tired. Yeah, I've noticed that with the little basketball that I have been able to watch this season. He looks like he's slowed down a little bit, but then again, he is a 61-year-old coach, and he's been with Notre Dame since
a lot longer than people like me think.
Well, let's see. Matt Doherty was there before him, but that was only for one season in 1999, and then I think it was 2000 that Bray took over.
Yeah, so I mean, if it's 2000, then I mean that's 21 years at this point.
Well, it's crazy. I go back and watch the old clips that they have on YouTube of some big games like back in like 2002 and 2003. Like they had 2003 against Pittsburgh on there, and then 2006 against ironically Dwayne Alabama. And it's crazy seeing just how young Mike Bray looked and how he is now. It's crazy because you don't think that that it's been 21 years. At least I don't think it has. It just seems like yesterday, But but no, Craig. I better put up his questions or put up the questions here. Do you think it's time for Bray to be relieved of his duties? I don't think so. I think the only reason things looked a lot slower this year as well, and it wasn't just Notre Dame, it was for a lot of people, but the COVID year.
Yeah.
It's been tough on everybody. I think that was a big part of it. I'm not saying that excuses, recruiting talent and, coaching up the guys. I mean, yeah, that's on Mike Bray, but no, he's got a very young team right now. And not a lot of veteran leadership.
Yeah, a very young and very raw team, and a very, very, very tough conference to be in when it comes to basketball.
Oh yes.
So, with kind of the collapse a little bit of the original Big East, and the realignment of a bunch of teams going into different conferences, the ACC got even stronger than they were with a lot of these realignments in the last 10, 15 years. So that definitely impacts a program like Notre Dame because, I mean, let's be honest, Notre Dame is overshadowed by football. And when you think Notre Dame, you don't automatically think basketball like you do with the North Carolina, with a Duke, with a Virginia, with Miami in time to time. So, I mean, look at who has emerged even in the last 2-3 years in the ACC. We've had now Florida State's come up, Georgia Tech's come up, Virginia. I mean, it's, there's always a lot of really good teams in the ACC for basketball. So, recruiting wise is definitely a lot harder when it comes to that.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, a big pool, but only 15 schools to choose from. It's crazy. But I got to put this up. I accidentally overshadowed this. Yes,
that is one of the very, very interesting storylines of this year's college basketball landscape. Yep.
Let's see. I think if I read correctly, I think Alabama's projected to get a 3 seed.
2 seed.
2 seed. Okay. I knew it was a 2 or a 3 seed. But yes, congratulations, Dwayne. I hope you enjoy the run, however far they happen to go. But anyway, Ben, before you and I went live, and I had mentioned this earlier, but we were talking about Gonzaga, and they're definitely going to be a number 1 seed.
They are a definite number 1 seed.
Definitely. There's no question about that. Gonzaga is definitely going to be a number 1. But you were telling me that you had I guess for lack of a better word, some doubts about the Zags.
Yeah, and it is not a situation where they are not an impressive team. They are a very, 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 very impressive team. I mean, going 26-0 coming into the tournament, the NCAA tournament, is impressive. I mean, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you play. 26-0 is very, 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 very hard to do. But, to me, it's who has Gonzaga really played up to this point? I mean, they've played some big-name teams, but not a lot of big-name teams, like an ACC team, like a Big 12 team, like a Big 10 team that play constantly, very, very good teams through the vast majority of their schedule. Mm-hmm. So we will see.
Yeah, and the thing is, just to be fair here, whether it's and obviously, Power 5 and Group of 5, that doesn't apply to basketball. Right. But obviously, you can't help, and this is not an excuse, but it is true at the same time. You can't help exactly that the conference that you play in isn't exactly the strongest.
Right.
I mean, how the other teams in your conference do, I mean, that's all on them. That's not on you. It's just your job to go out there and take care of business, no matter how good or bad the other schools in your conference are.
Right.
But the thing is, though, with the Zags, I mean, for as long as I can remember anyway, they've always given giving the top dogs fits and
Yeah.
all the power schools. I mean, they played spoiler. This is a team that can play strong against the top opponents.
Yes.
And here I am talking like they're not a top opponent because they're going to get a number 1 seed.
Right.
But
no, and like I said, the question just remains, are they as good as their record? I mean, they have beaten Kansas, they've beaten Virginia, and I'll give you that. You've beaten 2 very good teams. You had a chance to play Baylor. Unfortunately, that game was canceled due to COVID. So we don't really know what would have happened. But I mean, Gonzaga puts up points. I mean, against Kansas, they put up 102. I do believe they put up over 90 against Virginia. I mean, that's impressive, But the tournament is a horse of a different color.
Yes.
It's a different beast. So I mean, we will see. Not saying I don't want them to see them do well, but when it's time for me to pick my bracket, for who's going to win and who does what, there's going to be kind of question marks with Gonzaga. And I think that's what most people go into every year with Gonzaga.
Well, and especially if you're doing a bracket where money's on the line. I mean, you kind of have to put your fanhood aside and, what you think is truly going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Honestly, I hope the Zags go far in the tournament. I'd love to see them make it all the way to the Final Four, and they probably could. They have the capability of doing it.
Yeah, very much so.
But yeah, Dwayne says that he was just happy to win the SEC. No, man, you can't just be satisfied with winning your conference. You got to hope for more than that. But yes, you're right. It is.
Yeah.
It's very enjoying time to win your.
In the same kind of realm when it comes to basketball as Notre Dame is. You're in a hotbed for good schools. I mean, Kentucky's always really, really good. Florida's always pretty good. Depends on the year, but Arkansas comes up every few years. The SEC is a pretty powerful place too. And I mean, when you talk about Alabama, you think football. You don't think basketball. So yeah, I mean, like I said, they're in the same kind of boat as Notre Dame is for basketball. They're very much overshadowed by the legendary program that is football for them.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, that's it's very interesting to see what they did this year. They definitely handled business yesterday against Tennessee, which was incredible. The attitude and mood changed really, really quickly towards the end of that game, and Alabama pulled it out. And then being able to finish LSU the way they did today was incredible. So yeah, they're one of those very, very interesting teams coming into the bracket. So we'll see. They're positioned to be a number 2 seed. I think they have the talent to be a number 1 seed, but their record doesn't give them a 1 seed, unfortunately. But talent-wise, they're very impressive.
And we got a comment here from Craig. This is referring to the Zags. Yes, they are that good. The only team in the last 5 tournaments to go to the Sweet 16. Hey, we're not taking anything away from the Zags, Craig. I hope you don't get the wrong idea of what we're saying.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Gonzaga, but it's definitely one of those where, with Gonzaga and stuff, it's you play in your same area for the vast majority of your season, and then you go somewhere else for the NCAA tournament, and then you're bringing the best. And see, this year is going to be different. This is something that we're going to touch on, with it being a COVID year. And COVID could really make or break a lot of teams in this tournament, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting this season for teams.
And I'm checking some scores right now. The Big Ten tournament, Illinois is on top of Ohio State.
It was 14 last I checked. They were up by 14. But, Ohio State, there's another team that I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but it's kind of having a very, very unexpectedly good season. Yesterday, they finished off Michigan. Absolutely incredible. The way that they came back against Michigan, and then Michigan came back against them. They ended up beating Michigan, I do believe, by 1 point, I want to say. Was just absolutely incredible. The team that I thought was going to win the Big Ten tournament falls in the semifinal, which is incredible. I thought it was going to be them over Illinois, and it's Illinois and Ohio State right now. And yes. I did pick Illinois. I picked Illinois to beat Ohio State today. I will say that. So
yeah, it's 36-27 with just under 3 minutes to go in the first half.
The Illini are finally back to where they should have been basketball wise. We both live. Sean and I both live in Illinois, so we hear a lot about the Illini. So I'm happy for them. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a fan of the Illini, but I'm definitely happy to see them doing well. The vast majority of people here I know are, Illini supporters and even Illini alums. So I'm happy for them.
Shannon, what's up, dude? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ben.
No, I was looking at his comment. What do you think about the new? We'll get to that in a second. We're talking basketball right now. Yeah. So, another very interesting thing was Florida State and Georgia Tech played in the ACC final for the ACC. Like, who predicted that at the beginning of the season? Nobody. And Georgia Tech beat them. Georgia Tech wins the ACC tournament. They are the ACC champions, which is absolutely incredible. I do believe Florida State was picked to be a number 2 seed, so that's very, very interesting. The other very kind of uncommon scenario is the Big 12 champion, which was Texas. They played Oklahoma State in the final, which is absolutely incredible. The scenario that a lot of people were afraid of happened in the Big 12, and that was a big team like Kansas or Baylor had to drop out of the tournament, and that was Kansas. Kansas had to drop out of the tournament due to COVID concerns. So, that really, really hurt them and the tournament itself. The ACC lost Virginia out of their tournament. So, it is what it is. So I wonder what would have happened if Kansas had actually been able to play and if Virginia had actually been able to play. But Florida State's the real deal too. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I have no love for the Seminoles. So for me to say that they're the real deal, that's giving them a lot of credit and a lot of props, and they are. It'll be interesting to see what kind of noise they make in the NCAA tournament. So.
Yeah, Dwayne. I have another comment about basketball I want to make, but Dwayne had an interesting comment. I lived in Illinois for a year when I was 9. My dad had a job there. If you don't mind me asking, Dwayne, where'd you live?
I'm sorry you had to live in Illinois.
Maybe back then it was decent.
Has Illinois ever actually been decent? I don't know.
I think it just depends on what you want to see and what you don't want to see.
If you want to see corruption, you're in the right place.
Yes. Well, the corruption's always been there. I was just talking about like the way of life.
Yeah. No, I mean, I will say this, it's actually, I mean, Illinois is a decent state. I enjoy living here people wise, but politics wise and all that, it's a mess here. It is a mess. Chicago. Yeah. Sorry about that. That's a big bummer.
Yeah. As much, look, I've said it many times. I mean, you guys have seen me sport the apparel. I love the Bears, love the Cubs, love the Blackhawks.
Hi.
But no way in hell. And did I just hear myself echo?
No, that was something. Some ad popped up on my screen. I don't know why that happened. Anyway,
I thought it was my voice. Like I was saying, I will never, ever want to live in Chicago.
No.
I couldn't do it.
No. Good grief.
I'm fine being here in the Quad Cities where it's sort of a metropolitan area, but not really. It's a mixture of somewhat metropolitan and farm, and I'm satisfied with that. But I could never live in a big city. It's just not me.
Yeah.
Shannon says he says the armpit of America, LOL. Great people though. Are you talking about Chicago or Pennsylvania?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm in Central Illinois. I pretty much am in farm country. First time I saw black snow. Yeah, that's the grime and the sloshiness of stuff. But yeah, I'm in Central Illinois. Farm territory and all that. And I live in a city, but it's definitely small town feel. We have 100,000 people here, and I see the same people every day. I go to the gas station. I see the same people every day. I go to the store. I see the same people every day that I go to the movies. You name it. So definitely a small town feel. But yeah.
Yeah,
But back to basketball.
I was going to mention
the other big name victories. Georgetown is headed back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in a few years. They beat Creighton, and they beat Creighton by a pretty wide margin, so that was interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Georgetown can actually do in the NCAA tournament. St. Bonaventure beat VCU. St. Bonaventure is one of those teams that I needed them to win that championship. Being from St. Louis originally, I do love the University of St. Louis. And, St. Louis lost to St. Bonaventure, and they needed the Bonnies to win. So SLU could potentially get into the tournament because of St. Bonaventure going the whole way and winning it.
Now, St. Bonaventure, wasn't that the same school back in the day that pretty much had to forfeit their season or forfeit a game or whatever, and it was big news?
I cannot answer that question.
Yeah, that just popped in my mind, and I happened to think of that.
But and then North Texas beat Western Kentucky for Conference USA. Very bummed. I went to Western Kentucky for school. They beat them by 1 point. So both of those teams will definitely be in the NCAA tournament. It'll be interesting to see what those two do. And then Colgate beat who they beat? Loyola of Maryland. And Colgate is in like the Gonzaga boat. Colgate finishes their season 14-1. And it is a situation where, are you really as good as your record, or is it the teams you're playing? So we will see.
Now, of course, one school to look out for, and this obviously, as we all know, this school has a great basketball history, but look out for Houston.
Yeah, Houston just they're up on Cincinnati right now by what is that? 41-29 right now currently. I mean, the second half just started, but Houston is all over them.
Yeah,
right now. So.
And breaking news, everyone. I just heard from BigVolDaddy. So and he told me to expect him in the next 10 minutes, within the next 10 minutes or so.
Perfect. So,
here we go. There's so if he shows up, no false advertising.
Right.
We're off the hook. We are off the hook.
So, okay, there are a couple people that were asking questions. Let's see which questions where are we at.
Yeah, I wanted to get to those too, and sorry, my cats wanted to get out.
Oh, you're fine.
I don't need them pissing on my floor or anything. Well, actually, we'll start with this one. This is right up your alley, Ben.
Going to have to be a little more specific with the trade. Well, no, you won't have to be more specific with the trade. I take that back. That's the linebacker out of, what is that, Houston, I want to say? Yeah, shoring up the linebacker position. Dolphins let go of Van Noy, so I was wondering what they would do with replacing him, and they get McKinley from the Texans. I do believe that's right. So man, the Texans have really been helping the Dolphins out the last couple of years. Man, we get a first-round pick from the Texans, and now we get a linebacker from Texans. Houston's cleaning house, definitely.
Yeah, they're helping you guys, and as we mentioned on the last show, they're helping. They seem to want to really help out the Cardinals too.
Yeah, with Hopkins and now Watt. But yeah, we'll see. Miami's got to put it all together. They just picked up a lineman that had his fair share of trouble with the Tennessee Titans. He was drafted in the first round and just could not stay out of trouble. So hopefully it's a situation where he just needs an attitude change and an attitude check, and then he can go to his potential. But South Beach is definitely a place of temptation. Let's just say that. So the Dolphins have had their fair share of players that don't know how to handle themselves in Vice City. So we will see.
All right, and then we'll bring up we'll bring up Shannon's question here.
Defense. I'll let you take the beginning of this.
What's up, fellas? Go Irish. What do you guys think about the new offensive and defensive coaches for Notre Dame football? Well, obviously the big one is, as we all know, the defensive coordinator. Why am I drawing a blank on his name?
I can't remember his name, but he comes out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, God,
and he really turned Cincinnati into a defensive team. And the interesting
Marcus Freeman. Why did I? How could that slip my mind?
The interesting nugget is that Notre Dame will be playing Cincinnati this year, so he will get to see his old team. So that will be definitely very, very interesting to see what happens there. But I'm excited. I'm super excited. I was very, very nervous losing our defensive coordinator to Vanderbilt when I thought we had it all figured out, we lose the coach. So getting him is, potentially a step up. I mean, which I wouldn't have thought coming out of that situation that happened with Notre Dame.
And Clark Lee, I mean, I want nothing but the best for him. I mean, what he was able to put together with our defense, and you could see the improvement.
Yeah.
Now, despite what people like to say to us about the Rose Bowl and, using the comment that we've heard a million times in the last 2 months about the Saban, Saban was showing mercy comment, all that stuff. Clark Lee knew how to make the adjustments, and they did that in that game, regardless of what some people might think of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Marcus Freeman, though, Marcus Freeman coming in, I mean, his line of work speaks for itself. I mean, he put together one hell of a defense at Cincinnati, and
yes.
I think he can work his magic here at Notre Dame too. And the only thing that scares me, though, is exactly how long is he going to be there?
That's something with Notre Dame that has bothered me for years. They are not willing to put out enough money to keep people at Notre Dame. We saw it with Elko going to A&M. We've seen it with other guys. So it's a situation where, I mean, if you want to keep up with Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson, you got to put out that money. I'm sorry,
And who was the offensive coach that we brought in? Because Tommy Rees is still the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I didn't think we changed anything there. Unless he's just wondering what we think about Tommy Rees after year one.
Because I'm trying to think. I don't know if we had any offensive coaching hires. But anyway, we can research that. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, the man has arrived, the man of the hour. Here he is, the one, the only, BigVolDaddy.
Man, I'm so ashamed of myself.
Don't be, dude. You get caught up doing stuff. It happens.
Yeah, but I give people shit if they, if they're late to my stuff, and I just totally lost track of time today. I was up till like 8 o'clock in the morning this morning anyway. And then when I got to sleep about 9. And of course my daughter, she woke me up this afternoon. I'm glad she did, or I might still be asleep, wanting me to go to Walmart with her. And I just totally lost track of time. My bad, guys.
Hey, we got you here for a half hour, and a half hour of BVD is good enough for us. And I was joking with Ben before he got here. Hey, as long as you show up, we can't get accused of false advertising. That's
true. I guess, yeah.
So how have you been doing, man? How are things going for you?
Fine. All things considered. I can't complain. Well, I could. complain, but I do too much of that anyway. So, let me put my fake bling away here. There, that's for a separate occasion. What's going on, Ben?
Not much. How are you?
Still round.
Now, BVD, I understand you brought this up in a live stream of yours that you did a few weeks ago, but you have some questions for Ben about his supposed Tennessee fanhood.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I asked him pretty much everything in a text. I was just curious what got that started, and feel free to explain it again if you'd like. I mean,
no, I literally wanted the University of somebody to root for. I bounced around a whole bunch in my life. I've lived, I want to say 5 states in my lifetime, and I'm only 31, so I'll let you do the math with an average. And
sounds like me.
So I wanted somebody, and lo and behold, I picked the Vols for a multitude of reasons. One of the biggest ones is I'm all about, like, how do you treat people? How do you take care of people that aren't on your side of the fence? And I remember traveling through Tennessee years and years ago, and we stopped at a McDonald's on game day, and literally, I kid you not, everybody in that freaking McDonald's was in orange and white. Every single person.
This had to be quite a while ago.
Yeah. This was, what was that? That was like, I want to say 2006, 2007, something like that.
Yeah. The beginning of the end.
But, yeah, and they were super friendly. I mean, the first thing out of somebody's mouth was, hey, we've seen that you're not from here, welcome and all that. So, that really resonated with me. Going to school in Kentucky, kind of pushed that a little bit more, saying that Kentucky is one of those states that you pick sides very quickly. You are either Louisville or you are the Wildcats in Kentucky. And that's pretty much all they got there. And they take it really, really serious. And if you don't like either of them, they take that very, very serious, and they're very sour about all that.
Good for them.
So, the campus that I was on was actually very, very close to the Tennessee border. It was like, I want to say 10 minutes, 15 minutes to the Tennessee border, 45 minutes from Nashville. So I was definitely in Southern Kentucky. And, another, F you guys with the Wildcats and stuff. So that helped a lot too. And then of course they've been down, football wise, basketball, they've been up and down, and all that. So
they're looking up in football right now, or they think they are anyway.
Yeah. And you don't know until you get a product on the field. That's Sean and I are very familiar with that. People tout this guy or that guy or a coach or this coach, and it's like, okay, well, haven't played it down in football yet, so let's see, what happens with all that. But let's see things out before I start making an assumption one way or the other. So
well, hopefully being a part-time Tennessee fan doesn't beat the life out of you like it has me. I mean, it's been rough.
And no, I take that back. 2 of my teams have treated me decent, with the Cardinals and the Penguins, but being a Notre Dame fan is just as hard. I always ask the question, is it better to actually be in the thick of things and not make it, or to never actually be in the thick of things, so
I'll take be in the thick of things and not make it.
So I don't know, it's the heartbreak is still there for us.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could, I have some love for a couple of other teams, sort of like Marshall is a school that's always I've had a history with, but I mean, there's no actual passion there. I wish I could root for 4 or 5 different college teams. It'd make life a lot easier for me, but I just don't have that in me. I mean, I pull for teams, but as far as buying gear and stuff like that, I think the last time I bought anybody else's gear was 2009. I bought some Marshall stuff when I went through West Virginia. And I was, at that particular time, I told myself I wanted to try and collect all of the college hats. So I was buying up all kinds of hats, and that didn't last very long.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I've had people give me stuff from other schools, but
I'm kind of in the same boat you are, dude. I mean, I couldn't. Now, if some like that, I mean, if somebody gives me a gift, okay, I'm gonna be polite and accept it, absolutely. But I'm not gonna go put my money into another school. I
take that back. I bought a Marshall mini helmet and an Army mini helmet this past football season, but that was because of some Greenville kids that are playing at those two schools. So.
Well, and also you can make the argument too with both those particular schools, because you got Army, the United States Army,
Academy,
support for your country, and then Marshall, I think, could be everybody's exception, because everybody knows the history with the plane crash back in, what was it, the 70s? 79. That's right. I mean, and then they turn the program around and get back on track, and they become a division. Well, at the time it was Division I. So I think the bottom line is, I think there's a soft spot in everybody's heart for Marshall.
Yeah. The people that know about it anyway. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't even know about that.
Oh wow!
Which is as a college football fan, to not know about that is just mind blowing to me. But
I just say anybody who doesn't know about that, just see the movie We Are Marshall. Yeah. Everything you need to know.
Yeah, there's two movies technically, because they did We Are Marshall and then Remembering Marshall on ESPN. So it'd be really hard to kind of miss that as a legit, let's say a legit college football fan. Let's just say. But you mentioned that BVD, because I have been to a multitude of football stadiums, not seen games in every single one of them, but been to them. And I always buy a shirt from their gift shop so I can say that I've been there. And my ultimate goal is to make a quilt.
Oh, that's cool.
I've been to Nebraska's stadium. I've been to Penn State. I actually got to tour Penn State Stadium. Both of the Michigan schools, Michigan State, Michigan. Been to West Virginia Stadium, Maryland, Ohio State, of course, lived in Columbus for 15 years. Notre Dame.
What part of Columbus?
Huh?
What part of Columbus?
I lived in Worthington, so it was about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on traffic.
I lived in Worthington for 6 years.
Did you? Yeah, I was in the nice area.
What year? When did you live? Sorry, I'll talk to you for hours about that now, because I went to high school up there.
That was 92. I moved away when I was 16.
Oh, so it was still just Worthington High School up there when you were up there. I can't remember what year they had the other school come in. Yeah.
Worthington High School Cardinals, and then a little farther down the road was Kilbourne High, not to be mixed up with Kilbourne Middle.
Kilbourne was actually the 9th grade campus.
Yeah.
It was still Worthington High School, but it was the 9th grade campus.
And I always thought Kilbourne was pretty cool because they were the wolves, and the wolf is my favorite animal.
Oh, you're talking about Worthington Kilbourne High School. Yeah, that's the new high. Well, it's not new anymore, but that was the second high school in Worthington.
Yes. Yeah, it was either Kilbourne or Thomas Worthington was the full name for Worthington High.
When I went there, it was just plain old Worthington High School.
But
and I'm not trying to
had their woes in football. They could never beat Kilbourne. And then I'd say 4 years after I moved away, something like that, 3 years I moved away, they whooped the crap out of Kilbourne. And I'm like, man, I didn't get to see that. I missed that. But
I'm not trying to sound clueless, but they had a separate a campus for the 9th graders.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. It's a huge high school.
Yeah, no, it was a big high school.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not.
I was there for almost 16 years. I remember about 14 of them because I was a newborn when I moved there. But it was a nice little area.
Very, very wealthy part of Columbus.
Yeah. Ohio's another state, a lot like Kentucky, where you kind of got to pick sides. In Ohio, it's a little different than just colleges. It's cities. You're on Cincinnati's side or you're on Cleveland's side.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to know what side you're on. So.
Well, speaking of sides, BVD, we have some familiar names in here, and I'll just let you address this one if you want to. Screen.
That's my boy.
Law Tide.
Yeah.
Law Tide.
Picked him up another championship today. Damn it.
Yeah. I was talking about yesterday's game, the Vols and the Crimson Tide, with Sean before you came on.
Yeah.
The basketball game? Or
yeah, the basketball game.
Yeah, that had been a tough one for you to watch.
We blew that one.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep.
And then
that's why I always say you got to make your free throws, man. You got to make your free throws. Those are freebies.
Well, I mean, the kid missed 2 free throws, but they only missed 3 all day, which is, not bad. But
right. But when it's crunch time, and you have a chance to go up by 1,
yep,
and swing momentum back in your favor, that's a bummer.
There you go. There's a little old BBD saying that caught on. Make your free throws, win the game.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, of course, we got Dwayne Roll Tide Roll. He's a regular here on our streams. Mark, reason freshmen can start. That's very true.
Yep.
And then I don't know if you've ever seen Craig Sebring on your streams, BVD, but he has this for you. We need Tennessee to get back to the days under Cup when they were always good.
Yeah.
Alabama.
That name looks familiar.
Yeah,
I've seen that name.
And then this guy, I wouldn't take him serious. This is definitely a troll. Or it's either a troll or it's sarcasm.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good pickups already.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with sarcasm on that one.
I would hope so.
Even though I don't know shit about, I don't keep up with recruiting like a good college football fan should, but I don't keep up with a lot of things like I used to when I was younger. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I'm the only recruiting that I primarily focus on is for us. I'm not exactly looking at, Tennessee or Alabama or anyone from the Big Ten, so it's all good.
But, yeah, I wish, I don't know how to say it, but when I was younger in my 20s, I would love to have had the internet to keep up with stuff, to keep up with Tennessee football. That would have been amazing. Now that I have access to all that stuff, I honestly could give a shit less about recruiting and all the fun, cool stuff. Like I have a Twitter account, but I very rarely use it. I don't use my social media platforms like I should as a YouTuber, but I'm trying sort of to get better in that department.
Well, there's only so many hours in the day,
Yeah, no,
I can't use that as an excuse though. I'm disabled, so I'm home most of the time.
It doesn't mean you don't have other things going on.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
It's a full-time job just living. I mean, I can attest to that. So. Yeah. Okay.
God.
Yeah.
Do you really want to know the truth on this one? I think we all know.
Yeah, I think we all know what Alabama means to me. Someone pointed it out to me yesterday that Alabama won the women's wheelchair basketball championship yesterday. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? I didn't even know there was such a thing, but I guess it shouldn't surprise me that they won it. I mean, if they win the Natty in basketball, I'm done. I mean, that tells me there is no God if they win.
This tournament's going to be an interesting one for a different reason than most people think.
The bubble.
Yeah, I mean, concerning COVID. I mean,
how are they going to do that? Does anybody know?
Well, and that's what I wanted to bring up. So it sounds like they're going to have fill-in teams. So it sounds like, they're going to pick like a list of teams that if, say, like, Tennessee has to shut it down because of COVID or Gonzaga has to shut it down for COVID and they can't play no more, they're going to put a team in like Duke, and that kind of irritates me a little bit because it's like, okay, God forbid you put in a team like Duke and they get hot at the right time and go and win the championship when they should never even been there.
No.
So I'm like, so that's going to be interesting with the tournament. I mean, you got these really good teams that are making noise this year, but what happens if they have a COVID outbreak?
There's teams every year that cry foul. We should have gotten in the tournament, like Belmont. I think they're like 26 or 28-4.
Yeah.
And they're not getting in, I think. Teams like that, now, I would have no problem with them being a quote-unquote fill-in team.
Right.
But Duke, Kentucky, those guys have losing records. I mean, really, get the hell out of here. They're exactly where they need to be right now, at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you win, you go home.
I'm more curious about this bubble. I mean, I guess they'll explain it to us if they haven't already at the selection show, how that's going to work. I mean, am I wrong? My understanding is all the teams are going to be that. Are all the teams going to be in Indy?
I haven't heard it explained, but I mean, if you're going to do the way that some other professional sports have done it, then yeah. I mean, the NHL did the bubble last year, and you couldn't leave. I mean, we're
talking 30 teams, though. 32 teams. This is 68 teams or 64 or whatever.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, thankfully, in basketball, you don't have as big a rosters as some other sports, but still.
Yeah, and it gets pared down really quick, too.
So, I mean, and they say if a team only has 5 healthy guys, that's okay. I saw that as of yesterday when I was coming home from work.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, very interesting to see what happens with all of this. I mean,
somebody just said that Gonzaga is going to win it all.
Craig.
I sort of tend to agree with that. How long has it been since we've had an undefeated team? They are undefeated still, right?
Yeah, 26-0 with the season coming in.
Somebody will catch them. I hope I'm wrong. I wouldn't mind seeing them win it all. Because you guys are old enough to remember when Gonzaga was a Who team. Who?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think people tend to forget. I mean, Gonzaga comes from the state of Washington. I mean, we're not coming out of a hotbed like North Carolina, like Kentucky, like Florida, like, that we know about. I mean, they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And, I mean, no offense to them, they kind of play in a nowhere conference. I mean, there aren't a lot of teams in their conference that you recognize. There are teams that they play that you recognize, like Virginia and Kansas and Baylor, but
that's a team that could get hot again.
They have
and win it all.
Let's see. I think Craig just answered our question. And by the way, Ben, didn't I tell you I had some suspicions about this Tyler Buckner guy?
But, well, he's been on the Buckner train since the beginning. So I mean, if you want to stick to your guns, stick to your guns.
Law Tide says Virginia is going to win it all. If they win it all, wouldn't they technically be back-to-back champions?
They would be back-to-back champions because they beat Texas Tech last year for the.
Well, there was nobody last year. Remember?
Oh well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But the last time we had a championship, I guess. They beat Texas Tech.
The real March Madness tournament begins Wednesday in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. That's the real March Madness, where my Green Devils are going to hopefully get their first state title ever in basketball. That would be amazing.
Oh, from what I've heard from you, it sounds like they've been having a nice season, making a strong run.
They're on fire.
About high school basketball right now. So,
is your team not doing too good, or?
Well, so like last year, we had a really, really good team in basketball at the school I work at, and COVID stopped their season. And I mean, they were headed for they didn't get to play in the tournament. Nobody did, but they were like the favorite to win it all. And it'd been decades since this team's done anything. and it never got to happen. And then this year, they've been absolute garbage. So
same thing last year with my Green Devils. They literally had just won their sectional game and were going to be going to play for state. And it was the very next day that COVID, quote unquote, hit and everything got shut down.
Right.
So this has been, their battle cry all year has been, redemption.
Yeah.
So it'd be not tragic, but it would be awful for them not to win it. But there's 7 other teams in the state tournament that think they got a chance to win it too. So
yeah, and everybody's hungry.
Mm-hmm. And we're a much different team at home than we are on the road. We won by an average of like 37 points at home this year. It was ridiculous.
You guys are talking about your high school alma maters. As far as basketball goes, there's really not much to say about mine. I mean,
Geneseo, right?
Yep.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did. You did.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, I mean, we've kind of been back and forth. I mean, one year will be good, somewhat decent. The other will just be losing, but nothing really much to speak of. I mean, yeah, we had a nice run in the 1994 season. When I think that was a Sweet 16 team in the Illinois State tournament. But other than that, not really much to speak of with basketball. Now football, it's a different story. But just thought I'd add my 2 cents in on the whole high school thing.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not even my alma mater. That's a school that I work at. But, my high school that I went to, we were really good in soccer. We were really good in track and field, and we were really good in cross country, and everything else was me. Well, in hockey too, but
I was going to say, do you guys have ice hockey up there at high school?
Here we don't. One of the school that I went to for actual high school, we did. We had ice hockey and roller hockey.
Roller hockey. Did you ever play floor hockey?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? With the orange pucks and that was that was a blast.
Hockey here at the school that I work at, and it kills me because they just absolutely demolished that floor. So
okay, yeah.
I'm like, please no. But anyway, I don't control any of that. So
I got you.
To really answer your question about hockey here in the state of Illinois, I don't know if there's I know there's definitely a lot of traveling leagues, mostly in like the Chicagoland area, but I don't know if ice hockey is actually like an IHSA sanctioned sport.
No, it's not. Not that I'm aware of, at least. But yeah, we have a lot of younger, like traveling leagues. Like there's a traveling league near Peoria, which is about 45 minutes from where I live. But yeah, no actual high school stuff. So
I don't know what the score is now, but Illinois was up 5 at halftime, I think, when I came in
47-43 as of right now. Illinois is up. 51-45, just updated.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to the wire. But yeah, what was I going to ask you, BBD? So I know you've probably addressed this before, but I'm not always able to catch all your streams and whatnot. But what's your thought about Josh Heupel being the guy at Tennessee now?
I don't know, Sean. Honestly, at this point, it is what it is. He's a guy with head coaching experience. The vast majority of people don't think he will succeed here. Me, I've turned into a wait and see guy. The days of me jumping right on somebody's bandwagon like I did with Derek Dooley, like I did with Butch Jones, like I tried to do with the last clown, Pruitt. Those days are over. I'm just strictly wait and see. Obviously, I hope he does great. But he doesn't have much to work with, so he's kind of he's in a no-win situation. But some people look at it as a no-lose situation. I look at it as a no-win. The only thing he can do to, how can I put this? If he doesn't come in here and just light the world on fire, he's going to get a bad rap. He's going to be ridiculed and, oh, another terrible hire by Tennessee, you know, the same old shit. So
that's the problem that I've noticed with a lot of different schools, and even in other sports, you know, that people, you hire a new coach, he comes in, has a bad season in his first year with the team, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, fire his ass. No, you got to give a guy more than just one season.
Well, yeah, and especially in college football, where I mean, it's just a revolving door of players. I mean, you got
thank you, Nick Saban, by the way.
You got guys coming in and out. I mean, you know, injuries happen. I mean, especially in football. I mean, football is a brutal sport. I mean, you know, look what happened. And I know Sean and even, you know, BVD probably don't like him at all. But I mean, look what happened with Miami. They bring in a quarterback. He's really good. And he tears his ACL in the bowl game. I mean, that shit happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and all of a sudden you're down your star. I mean, so yeah, fans got to be a little more understanding that, you know, like you said, it's a wait and see, and 1 year doesn't define somebody. You know.
Well, I mean, 3 years really shouldn't define somebody either. But you look at what happened with Tennessee this time around. Had the whole McDonald's bag shit not happened, Pruitt would still be there, and he would have probably been given at least 1 more year, maybe 2. I don't know. I think realistically it takes a minimum of 4 years to find out whether a coach, a marginal coach, is going to be able to do the job. And you got guys like Kirby Smart that came in. The cupboard was stocked with him. The three of us could have coached Georgia to the records they've been coached to.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of kills me with that whole fan base.
But he's continued to recruit well. He's continued to get people in there. So, but until he wins a natty, he's
on the hot seat.
I wouldn't say hot seat, but yeah, it's Georgia fans are getting a little bit restless, you know.
Yeah,
and rightfully so.
And excuse me for 1 second, guys. I want to make someone look like an idiot. I told you, Ben, I had my doubts about this guy, but does Sean dislike Tyler because he's Asian? Considering the fact that I have 2 cousins from China that are adopted, no, I have nothing against the fact.
And I'll put it this way, okay? You got a kid that has never played a down of football in college football coming in. Okay. He's also coming out of one of the most locked down states, whether you're left or right in the political spectrum. He's coming out of one of the most locked down states in California, who's played literally no high school football for 1.5 years now. Okay. So, I mean, I have doubts for just that reason. I mean, I don't care if you're Kobe Bryant. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. I don't care if you're Joe Montana. I don't care if you're, you know, Ricky Williams at Texas. Okay, if you haven't played football in 1.5 years, you're rusty. I mean, I can honestly tell you, you know, and I can attest to it. I watched our girls basketball team play the other night. They'd only played 2 games due to COVID. They looked absolutely atrocious. Like, I have never seen that bad of basketball in my life. And it's because they haven't played. I mean, that's a fact. So, I mean, that it is what it is.
It makes a huge difference in football. I mean
you know,
1.5 without playing, that's an eternity.
I mean, and, you know, you can see that even like at the NFL level. Look at teams that a lot of playoff teams get that first round bye, and they're not nearly as sharp as the team that played all the way through. And it's because you got a week off. I mean, you lose your momentum, you lose your groove, you lose your mojo. I mean, it is what it is. So
if Jack Cohn is a starter, I'm committing suicide. Well, you know what? For this particular person, that'd probably be a good thing. So I hope Jack Cohn is a starter for that reason alone.
Wow.
This guy, BVD,
Kirby
is
running the wrong program with 5-star recruits. Interesting.
This guy, BVD, that Tyler Buckner, future Heisman winner, he's likely your former employer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, he
Some
comes,
of the comments look that way.
I don't know.
But
I think he's just
I don't
passionate
know.
about Tyler Buckner, but I think it's definitely in this whole situation at Notre Dame, it's a wait and see. I mean, you can refer to my article that I wrote about this whole situation. All three guys have upside to stardom, and all three bring a different skill set. But until football's actually played and until everything goes down, I'm on the fence with all of them. So.
Well, I don't have a clue who Tennessee's starter is going to be next year.
who are the candidates?
Don't even know. I'm assuming
starting quarterback to is that Oklahoma? I want to say, is that right?
We lost 3, I think, to the portal. Turdo, of course. I can't even think of their damn names now. My memory is so terrible. God. JT Shrout is gone. And the third one, I'm actually not sure if he left or not. Got very minimal, if any, playing time last year. Like he literally got like a few plays.
Yeah.
God almighty. Anyway, Harrison Bailey, to my knowledge, is back. He's back. He's what a lot of our fans hope will be our starter, and then we got the stud recruit that'll be here. He's going to push for playing time. So either way, we're going to have a youngin taking snaps.
Well, that's
Brian Maurer. That was the other guy's name, Brian Maurer. I don't know if he's still on campus or not.
Well, and actually, in a situation like yours where there really isn't a veteran quarterback presence, that's a time where it's actually not bad to, get an incoming freshman, significant playing time right away.
Well, they tried that towards the end of the year last year. I think they may have waited a little bit too long, but who knows? We'll see. The jury's still out on Bailey, of course, while he was sitting on the bench, and Garen Turdo was out there wreaking havoc on his own team. Everybody was screaming for Harrison Bailey, and by the time they finally decided to play him, it was probably a little too little, a little too late. I mean, it was pretty clear after about game 5 last year that season was going south quick. And so I don't know. I'm not a coach for a reason,
Yeah,
So,
that makes 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I question whether I could even coach Pee Wee football or not.
I've actually made that same comment. I mean, it's always easy for sure to, be, on the outside looking in, and but then again, there are some things that are just, obvious as well. I mean,
we all think we're coaches on game day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's where the term armchair quarterback comes from.
And some of the decisions that these guys make, even as just fans, makes you scratch your head and go, what the hell is he thinking? Why is he making $5 million a year? You know? But I guess you could say that about any man in any profession. We all do boneheaded shit. And I guess football coaches are no different. There's a whole lot more pressure on a Power 5 college football coach than there is on Sean or Ben, either one of you guys, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what either one of you guys do. So you guys could both have a ton of pressure on you from day to day.
I can tell you one thing with, I'm just going to speak for myself here with my job and what I do for an everyday living. There's definitely the press is definitely not visiting me every day. That's for sure.
Right.
I'm not having to answer to anybody in that aspect. And so, yeah, no, there's absolutely no comparison at all.
Well, pressure, it comes in many different forms. Pressure to me is the guy in rural Pennsylvania that just lost his job and has 6 kids. That's pressure.
Yeah.
The guy making $5 million a year that just blew a football game, sure, that's pressure, but at the end of the day, if he loses his job, he's fine.
All the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if you're or even a pro athlete. I mean, yeah, if he gets cut, he still has his multi-million-dollar signing bonus or whatever that he can go invest. So yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott.
Oh my God, that was the most absurd contract I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I'm not saying Dak Prescott isn't good.
Every year, but
nobody. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You're the guest. You go first.
No, I finish your thought there.
I was just gonna say, no player is worth that kind of money. Not $75 million a year. At least for that.
That's insane. Especially that player. I mean,
yeah. I mean, there are some guys that get contracts, and it's all sports. There are some guys that get contracts, and it's like, well, what have they done to warrant that kind of money? I mean, granted, all of it's lucrative money. I mean, I'll just start it off saying that, but I mean, there are other guys that you kind of go, okay, I can see that, but then there are guys like Dak that you're like, wait a second now. So, yeah, no, I totally.
Would you agree or disagree here? Tom Brady's this is hypothetical, of course. Let's say Tom Brady's contract is due this year. He's due for a new contract, and Tampa Bay offered to pay him $100 million for 1 year. What would your thoughts be? Would he be worth it? Now, clearly, in the grand scheme of life and dollar for dollar value, no football player is worth $100 million. But just strictly based on what he's done and the market value now for what players are getting, would that be? I mean, it wouldn't be unbelievable, I wouldn't think. But would he be worth it?
Right now, no.
I would say yes, just because of the trend of how these contracts are getting. In 5 years from now, $100 million a year is probably going to be a low-end contract, it looks like, but he's the only person I could think of that would really be worth that kind of money if it ever came to that. Who knows?
Well, I guess if you want to base off of that, I mean, with all the championships that he's won.
It was a job performance, sure. Age-wise, though, that's interesting. I mean, if you drop 10 years off of his life, or even heck 5 years off of his life, then I could give it to you. But
he's the Dick Clark of football. The dude just does not age. So
I don't know. I mean, and like you said, I mean, everything's trending up with prices and stuff. I mean, I think, to switch gears just a tidbit, I think, like the MLB is going to have to put a cap on their salaries, and not like an actual salary cap for teams like they do now, like every league does, but like an actual cap for like how much you can make. Because I mean, eventually they're guys that are pushing, $500 million now. I mean, the most recent contract size-wise was like $345 million. I mean, that's insane to think about. So
it is.
I mean, and the NFL is going that way too. I mean, there are guys continuously getting higher and higher and higher contracts, for what they do. I mean, and you're only playing 16 games in the NFL. That's one game a week, compared to all the other sports where you play multiple games a week. So,
16 games in the NFL, though, that's probably equivalent to, I don't know, 25 games in any other sport, really. Or
I don't know.
Maybe, who knows? I mean,
Brady's that interesting if, I mean, somebody brought up, I mean, clearly they're not Brady, but somebody brought up Mahomes and was like, what would Mahomes do if he was on a team like the Giants? Would he be the Mahomes that we see? And it's the same with Brady. I mean, Brady is in that same boat where it's like, okay, well, what would he be if he was with a team like the Giants? Would he be Brady, or would he be just another quarterback?
Well, Tampa Bay was that team last
And then they built
year before last, and they built around him. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my thing with all of it.
That's the thing. I mean, Tampa is proof that you can basically buy a championship.
Yeah.
Which, look how many times the Yankees have done it.
Yeah. Well, I think Tampa Bay heated up at the right time too, because they had some down parts of that season, and they were not the favorite going into the playoffs. So I think they kind of got hot at the right time, and that happens. I mean, we've seen that with multiple teams in the NFL. We saw that with the Giants when they beat the Patriots the first time. We saw it with the Giants the second time they beat the Patriots. We saw it with your Cardinals when they went and played the Steelers in the Super Bowl. I mean, they just got hot at the right time. I mean,
yeah,
that kind of stuff happens. So I don't know.
It does.
Well, and speaking of the Cardinals, BVD, how do you feel about them picking up J.J. Watt?
Awesome. I mean, what can you say? We got Hopkins last year. I don't know if Fitzgerald's coming back for one more year or not, but that would be great. If anybody in this league deserves a Super Bowl, he's one of them.
Definitely. Fitzgerald. Oh, yes.
We still need a few more pieces.
Yeah, I was joking with Sean on our show last week when we were talking about the whole J.J. Watt signing. And I said, I think somebody in the Cardinals organization got some dirty tapes or dirty pictures on somebody in the Texans organization because
just giving them up, aren't they?
I mean, I get losing guys, and I get that Houston's kind of like rebuilding and imploding and whatever you want to say, but to give two guys like that to the same team, it's just kind of wild. So I don't know.
If your boy Tyler Buckner isn't Lou, he sure does have the lingo down. I don't know if I'm ready to say that's definitely Lou or not, because
Well, I'll say this: Crimson Brave's been watching our show recently, and one thing he told me last week that he had a real good point on is if this guy was him, that he would be making Rudy remarks and whatnot.
Probably,
but it's and I gave him credit for that. But at the same time, the douchebag's smart enough to know how to blend in. And this crap, I just wish he would let it go with me. I'm not doing anything to him. I'm not saying anything, but
this
guy, stop. Even if it's just someone from his camp, just fucking stop. Pardon my French, people.
He says it himself all the time. He's never going to be accused of being the guy that lets things go. It just kind of is what it is at this point.
All I can say is you've heard me say that I'd rather not give a lot of time to him, but the guy seriously has some mental problems. And if you can put up with him, then my hat's off to you, dude.
Prove it, Tyler Buckner. Prove you're a Notre Dame fan.
Well, yeah.
Well, the thing is, sorry. I was just gonna say, BVD. We post the link for these guys to join the stream every time they show up, and they never do. So it's like, where's their balls?
Yeah.
There's some people that just absolutely will not get on a stream, and I get it. Not that what we do is anything tough to do, but there's some people that just absolutely will not put their face on the internet.
Tyler Buckner wants a question that
hold on. How do you? I saw that too, Ben. How do you know he's not just going to go Google it?
This one's pretty hard. Okay. Yeah, we'll see if you can. I don't think any Notre Dame fan can actually answer this question. Sean might know this answer because I think I might have mentioned it to him. Okay. Newt Rockne. How much money did Newt Rockne make at Notre Dame as his salary? And I have the answer. I know the answer, and it is a lucrative answer. Like, I will give you that for the time period.
And we'll give credit because there is a little bit of a delay on these streams between, the video and the comments.
You said you're a fan. Come on now. How would I know that? Okay, so like Sean, you take a stab. BVD, you take a stab. I'll give the right answer.
All right.
By your own admission, Sean should know this.
Sean could know this. We'll see if Sean. Did I mention that to you once, Sean?
I don't think you ever did.
Okay, take a stab. How much do you think he made?
Are you talking in his complete tenure?
Final year. His
final year
with Notre Dame. How much did he make?
$100,000.
The guy. Keep in mind, this is the 30s. So I'm gonna say half that. I'm gonna say 50.
50 grand. Okay.
I'll say 10 grand.
10 grand.
Yeah.
Well, BVD was right the first time. 100 grand.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Can you believe that? Like when I found that out, I'm like, wait a second now.
That's $100 million now.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's incredible to me. Like, that's just absolutely incredible. But yeah, no, the Tyler Buchner guy, I'll say this and then I'll drop it. Clearly you have not watched any tape on Jack Cohen for the comments you've made. I get that, he's a guy that never made it at Wisconsin. I get that he's a guy that has had, some up and down years and stuff with his tenure with the Badgers. But to say some of the little nitpicks that you've said about him, clearly you've watched no tape on him. He does not have a noodle arm. If you watched his highlights, he has a cannon for an arm. He has launched some major deep balls that is a Wisconsin special. So, you haven't watched tape. I'll give it that you want Buchner. I want Buchner to succeed. I really do. I want all these guys to succeed, but all of them, and I'll say it the final time, I'll wait and see for all of them. None of these guys have played a down of football with Notre Dame, that has actually had any significant impact. Pine is the only guy that has seen any actual playing time out of the camp. He has seen playing time against South Florida, and he's seen playing time against Alabama. That's it. So anyway, yeah.
I still think this guy is Troll City, but for the sake of
we'll see what happens. I mean, it's it is what it is, and maybe one of them does suck, and maybe one of them will be amazing. But I'm not going to go with any of it until we see what happens. So,
you guys expecting a repeat performance this coming year of last year, or downturn?
I don't know if it's a downturn, but the schedule's pretty, the schedule's back to what it normally is this year. And it's going to be, a hard season to go 12-0.
Well, I don't expect a repeat performance, because if we get a repeat performance, that means we lose in the playoff, and I don't want to lose in the playoff.
But no, it's, you're starting off the season with a bang. You're going down to Tallahassee, I don't care what year it is for the Seminoles. You go down to Doak Campbell Stadium, you're going to have some trouble.
I'll actually bring up our schedule.
And if Florida goes the same route that Texas has gone when it comes to opening everything up and stuff, I mean, we're about to see the Rangers in Texas have a full stadium of people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Florida State does something like that, that's the first time that any of these kids in a year and a half is gonna deal with a crowd, and that crowd's gonna be nuts.
So here's our schedule for 2021. Like Ben said, we start at Tallahassee against the Seminoles. Then we have Toledo and Purdue at home. We head to Chicago to play Wisconsin at Soldier Field. Cincinnati at home. At Virginia Tech, which Lane Stadium is always a ruckus environment, but of course that depends on what they do with fans.
Mm-hmm.
Then back home to play USC and North Carolina and Navy. 3 straight games.
It's a tough schedule.
Yeah. So then, I don't think 12-0 is going to happen. That's just me.
Sorry. At Virginia, then back home again to play the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and then Thanksgiving weekend at Stanford.
Navy, the only gimme in all those?
Yeah, I'd say Navy's the only gimme.
Virginia.
Virginia, but I mean,
and Georgia Tech possibly too.
So I don't know. Yeah, we're not playing them in basketball, so
yeah, it'd be interesting.
And you don't think Toledo would be considered a?
Toledo. I didn't hear them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, independent is the way to go. Was that a cheap shot because we don't play in a conference? Shit. It's actually, I've said this a million times. It's actually tougher to play as an independent because to even have a shot at the playoffs, that means you have to be perfect. You have to go 12-0.
Yeah, well, they changed that discourse this year.
Yeah, Notre Dame can go 11-1 and still make the playoff.
Just with Ohio State getting in to the playoffs.
Yeah, that was.
And I'll give it to them. They whooped the crap out of Clemson. I'll give it to them. But then Alabama just pulverized them. So if they had made it a game against Alabama, I would have believed it a little more. But
it was a game for 4 possessions.
Yeah, but that was like holy crap. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll just be interesting. This landscape right now is just changed and getting interesting with all this.
I need fans back in the stands.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The audio fans that they pump through the PA system, it's not the same.
It's horse shit. That's just all there is to it. Did you go to any games last year?
No, I won't.
It's what you hear on TV is not nearly as bad as what it sounds like at the stadium. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Actually, we weren't even able to go to games because the only ones allowed up at South Bend were obviously students and then faculty and the parents of the players, parents and family.
I guess Rudy wasn't getting a ticket for that one either then, was he?
No.
I got $10.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's this in the comments I'm seeing? What's this Tennessee McDonald's meal? What the hell is that?
Oh, you don't know what that's all about? Passing out money in McDonald's bags. That's what got us in trouble.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. That's why the NCAA has done set up camp in Knoxville and doing a little investigative work, as it were. I didn't get no fucking money in my McDonald's bag. Excuse my language.
Yeah, send me some of that. Like we all.
Yeah. I didn't even get a done hamburger.
How can you screw that up? But anyway,
the answer to that question, Tyler, is I have no clue. I want that same deal. The players that got money, what'd they do for the team? Squat. So that was a bad deal all the way around.
Yeah.
Cheated, and it didn't even help.
Well, especially if it's true, like did you see the 30 for 30 on the SMU death penalty?
No, I didn't see the 30 for 30. I vaguely remember some of it from being alive when it happened. But
well, all I'm gonna say is if that is true, what they gave
Craig James.
No, the running back.
Yeah, Craig James was the running back, wasn't he? No, he was the running back at SMU, but I don't know if it was
Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson during his recruitment, apparently his Texas A&M apparently gave him a gold Trans Am, and they said that his grandmother bought it for him. But all I know is if that was the case, if that was true, and Texas A&M got him that Trans Am and he committed to SMU, then yeah, A&M would know how you feel.
Yeah.
Not getting your money's worth, or just straight up giving money to the
Well,
company.
SMU was paying him, and they definitely got their money's worth with Dickerson. I mean, Dickerson was,
Craig James was good too.
Yeah, and he actually came close to going to Alabama. I think he said that he based it off of where his girlfriend was going to college.
Oh, I don't remember. There was so little information back then.
Well, yeah.
Especially if you didn't now living in that town's one thing. Like if I lived in Knoxville, I would have had all the information I needed.
Mm-hmm.
But living in Raleigh, Worthington, I was lucky.
Right. If you can,
the day after the game to get a paragraph on the game in the newspaper.
Yep. Well, hey, look, well, Ben, I know that you have to hit the road here pretty soon. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, it just, teams get caught up, and it is what it is, and
and then they just straight get caught.
Money talks depending on situations.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I don't think I think a lot of guys are getting paid and nobody knows about it. I think it's all about how you handle your business and how you make it seem. But Notre Dame fans are very familiar with players getting in trouble. We've had a few situations the last 10, 15 years with getting in trouble with academics and law and all that. So,
well, I still question the tutor thing. I mean, I think that was stupid. I mean, tell me anybody from grade school all the way through college that's never had a tutor correct your paper.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I never had a tutor, so.
Well, your teacher, whatever.
I know.
Even in grade school, I mean, your teacher, goes over your rough draft or whatever. And
yeah, well, that Golson situation, there was, I think, a little more than just the tutor correcting papers, but, so yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, like I said, Ben, I know you have things to do and whatnot. But before we sign off, BVD, is there anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to ask us?
No, just thank you guys for, first of all, apologize for being late, but thank you for having me on. We need to do this again, like before, a couple of weeks, maybe before football season or maybe after spring practice is over, kind of a recap maybe of our springs, and, do it with me on time this time.
Hey, it's all good, dude. I mean, we got to see you for about 45 minutes, and that's still a pretty good show. So don't worry. We're not like certain people that kick your ass to the curb and are narcissists and expect you to come in and do a show when you have cancer and have a bout of chemo or something.
That's pretty stiff.
Well, he'd do that. I mean, geez, you have eyes.
I'm going to pretend I don't know who you're talking about. I'm going to pretend.
Okay.
You know me. I played the fifth, man.
That's cool. I'm not.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't either if I were you.
But he would. I think if you had cancer and you had to go through chemo, he'd still say, "Get your ass up here and do the show," because I'm a narcissist asshole. There you go. So anyway, before I go on a rant, because I know I could do that. All I can say is BVD, regardless, late time, doesn't matter. You're welcome here anytime to shoot the shit with us and talk football. And it's always a blast having you on, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the selection show, which we'll have here in about 25 minutes. I'm going to enjoy that for sure.
I will be, and I'll say this, and I'll give both of you this information because not even Sean knows this. I will be coming to Tennessee more and more in upcoming years, just to let you know.
Cool.
The wife
come to a game.
The wife's best friend has officially started their move to the Murfreesboro area. So
it's a growing area.
Yeah. So I've been through Tennessee a multitude of times. I've been, to Myrtle Beach 3 times now, and I've been to Florida 5 times. So I love Tennessee every time I pass through it, and all that. So I'll be down in that area a lot more. So
good deal.
Exciting. I'm excited.
If you ever get to the Smokies, look me up.
Yep. But anyway, guys, it's been fun, and I will let you go.
Yeah, right. See you, man.
All right. Well, on that note, everyone, we got to finish out the way we always do on recorded videos. On that note, for the great BigVolDaddy, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
God bless. Go Irish. Go Tennessee. And have a good night, everyone.
See you. All right.